Okay, let's dive into this. Today we're tackling something that honestly trips up so many of us, whether you're prepping for the IELTS exam or just trying to write a high-stakes email. I'm talking about linking words. In this explainer, we're going to break down the myths, the mechanics, and how you can actually master them to make your writing incredible. So, I want to start by challenging a super common misconception. Do linking words just magically create logic and guarantee a higher writing score? A lot of people think throwing in a big, fancy word like moreover or furthermore acts like a magic wand for your vocabulary score, instantly making your essay flawlessly logical. It's kind of tempting to believe, right? But experts, like former IELTS examiner Simon, will tell you straight up, these cohesive devices, they actually aren't part of your vocabulary score at all. Using moreover instead of and doesn't automatically make your writing better.
The reality is a hard no. Linking words do not create logic. They just highlight connections that already exist in your writing. Think of them like road signs. They're literally just there to point out a relationship between ideas you have already built. If the underlying logic is missing, slapping "for instance" between two totally random sentences isn't going to save you. Actually, scratch that. It makes it worse. It confuses the reader and tanks your cohesion score. You've got to build the road first. The linking words are just the paint guiding the driver.
To really drive this home, look at this insight from our sources at EduRev. They point out that beginning almost every single sentence with a linking word, firstly, moreover, in addition, doesn't make you sound sophisticated. It actually makes the writing feel incredibly mechanical, forced, and disconnected. It's the classic trap of trying way too hard to sound academic. Cohesion needs to flow naturally. Overusing these words is honestly just as dangerous as misusing them. And this brilliantly illustrates a much better approach. Instead of memorizing massive alphabetical lists, IELTS Live suggests we group linking words by their function. What is their actual job? Are you adding info? Okay, use additionally. Are you showing a result? Go for consequently. Making a contrast? Bring in however or despite. When you categorize them by the specific job they do, they stop being these intimidating academic hurdles and just become the structural tools they were always meant to be.
Right, so once you know what they do, you've got to master the mechanics. Linking words fall into three very strict grammatical categories: conjunctions, prepositions, and adverbs. You absolutely cannot mix and match the rules here. Knowing the category tells you exactly how to structure your sentence. Let's break these down real quick with an example for each, because getting this right is absolutely crucial.
First up, conjunctions. A subordinating conjunction like although or because needs a full clause right after it. What does that mean? It means a subject and a verb. Take a look at the sentence. Although social media connects us, it has disadvantages. Social media is our subject and connects is our verb. You can't just drop a noun after all, though. It literally needs that complete mini-sentence to act as a bridge. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how prepositions work. Words like despite or due to might do the same job as conjunctions, like showing contrast, but their grammar is totally different. A preposition needs a noun or a noun phrase, not a full clause. Here's our example. Despite the benefits of exercise, many are sedentary. See that? The benefits of exercise is just a noun phrase. There is no verb in that first part. Writing despite people exercise would be a massive grammatical red flag. And finally, we have adverbs like therefore or consequently. These are usually the easiest to spot because of the punctuation. They generally kick off a brand new sentence to comment on the last one, and they almost always need a comma right after them. Check out this sentence. Freedom of the press is vital. Therefore, newspapers publish freely. It's neat, cleanly punctuated, and sets up a logical conclusion perfectly based on the previous sentence. Let's move to and see how this builds from simple mechanics to real mastery. Because once you nail the grammar, the real pro move is understanding the super subtle differences between linkers that seem identical, but definitely aren't. Precision is everything here. Using a word that's almost right can completely confuse your reader. So let's look at a couple of tricky pairs that constantly trip people up. On the other hand versus on the contrary, we see these used interchangeably all the time, but they have totally different jobs. On the other hand, just introduces a new contrasting perspective. It's like flipping a coin to look at the other side. But on the contrary is way stronger. It's basically used to contradict a previous point and say, nope, that's wrong. So if someone says, I guess the kids found the play boring, you wouldn't say, on the other hand, they loved it. You'd say, on the contrary, they loved it, because you're telling them their assumption was completely backwards. Here's another really subtle one from our Grammarly sources. Nonetheless versus nevertheless.
They both express contrast, but let's look at the words themselves. So the crucial point is right in the prefixes. None relates to amounts or things that were said. Never relates to time or facts. So you'd use nonetheless when you're contrasting something that was said, like, the doctor advised me to rest. Nonetheless, I went hiking. But you use nevertheless to mean in spite of the facts, like, I had never trained for a 5K. Nevertheless, I was confident I'd win. Tiny distinction, right? But nailing it makes your writing so much sharper.
So, bringing it all together, what's the ultimate best practice here? It really boils down to 3 steps. First, plan your structure. Just get it down. Second, build your internal logic so point A naturally flows to point B. And third, only then do you drop in your linking words to highlight the connections that are already there. And of course, make sure you're using the right grammar, conjunctions, prepositions, or adverbs. Just remember, your logic dictates the linkers. The linkers do not create the logic.
I really hope this explainer has helped demystify linking words for you and given you a solid foundation to work from. So I'll leave you with this. Which grammatical category are you going to master first in your next piece of writing? Are you going for conjunctions, prepositions, or adverbs? Pick one, practice it until it's practically second nature, and watch your writing clarity absolutely soar. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and happy writing!